phone and you're calling your school principal, so you could talk to them and they can partner with you
I'm
to
watching time.
discuss your concerns.
I'm watching time and it's, you didn't tell me, Dawn, 20 after.
Is there a hard stop? We're supposed to stop at 8?
We're supposed to
stop
stop
at
at
8:30,
8:30, so
Thought
I
it was
just wanna.
8:30.
8:30.
No.
Said 8:30 on the
Yeah.
email.
Do you mind
Mine's
moving
a
to
very-
that?
They've made it an hour and a half now.
I think there's a lot of information to cover in an hour
wanna
and a half.
get
So
to-
I
wanna
I
get to
feel,
speed.
you know, everybody wants to kind of hear, their perspective needs to be heard. I think that's important, so I do think it's worth
I would
exploring the smaller-
suggest, Nancy, and I don't know, I'm speaking for myself. I would suggest, because we waited so long for this meeting, that if you can give this group a little bit of extra time, I think most people would.
I can, I just was being.
I don't know that everybody can stay, but
Other people
I
will have
think
children
that,
put to bed or things like
Like,
that.
anyone can leave if they're done,
Yeah.
if they've had their question asked, but I know I have a couple things to say and I haven't had a chance yet because there's a lot of people here, so.
Okay. So do we wanna continue so I can get a chance to say, or do we wanna take questions? What's the will of the group? I have a couple more things. Okay.
Is there somewhere where we can look to see each job title and see what each person is responsible for? Because I must have misunderstood. I thought you were overseeing 504s and then I heard you were over.
And then you can go below you, you didn't go to Diane, you didn't go below you, so we can do that.
And I'm not asking for a definition right now, but is there somewhere where parents can look?
It's confusing.
I
Like an
also would
organizational
like-
chart.
I really feel
Yes,
as though I need to
exactly.
say this, because I don't know who else has a high school student, but this year I went into PPTs without having anybody from central office representing, at a PPT, and it only took, my, like, hello, I'm Debbie Hunt, Nancy, and I felt that was a major omission, and,
Is the principal there?
yes, but I'm used to having somebody from central office, special education, and, there wasn't
familiar with it.
someone who's familiar with him back from district. I was very happy with the team, don't get me wrong, there's no specific criticisms of how they handled things, but that was alarming to me. I was not made aware of that. Suddenly, there was supposed to be somebody from K-8 through high school, and suddenly there wasn't. Reassured, everybody's, very, accomplished and up to speed on everything. That was alarming. And it's only now because the case has become kind of somewhat, critical that, you're involved. And I think that was a major omission.
Diana is in charge of pre-K through 8, and I
It used to be
am-
through 5, though,
Correct.
just so you know. So
Correct.
And then it
some
suddenly
might know
changed
that.
to 8,
And I
and
am
then
at the
suddenly
high
Marie
school,
Davis
so
wasn't there, and,
she's gone.
So
So
just take,
I-
she just said she's taking, she's doing that.
Yeah, but that
So
wasn't the case prior to that. I wasn't,
So
point made, I don't
so
need to
I
discuss it
am,
any further.
where there's cases where I'm needed at the high school, I am part of those, but I do not attend every high school PPT, and Diana doesn't attend every PPT. Because, as you heard Brian say, if I was involved in everything that was going on, we're not gonna move forward for progress, for change. And, that has to be a place where my energy is going. That's kind of where we're at with that, I guess.
Have you started, are you thinking of putting someone in the high school position? Because from hearing that you're supposed to be a high-level architect, I can't see that then you're also going to be in the high school doing high school work in transition. So are you thinking of hiring?
Or we're replacing
like-
Marie Davis.
Like a Marie?
I think, yeah. I think that's.
I guess what I would say, I'm trying, Diane, at some level, that's not necessarily my decision. If you're looking to hire an additional administrator, that's gonna be a superintendent and board.
But there's no one, we're not in the, we're not looking for
No.
someone to replace that.
But
So
you have to
what
say
they-
there's a need.
What they did was, they took part of what the job was in central office, and Brian has taken a piece of this. I think one of the things that we're also, working on, if you look at the capacity slide, is that, most of our principals are going to, PPT chair training this year. to be sure that they have, the skills that they need to be, and you heard Brian say that was his experience in his building.
Yeah, I mean, just as,
Many PPTs.
as far as a central office administrator attending a PPT, that's atypical in all my experiences as a teacher, as an elementary principal, as a middle school principal. On the PPT, you have an invitation page, so under, IDEA in the law, you have to have what's called a PPT, like you have to have certain members from special services staff that are there, and you need to have an administrator or administrative designee. So there's very specific rules that are in place for the convening of a PPT. So one of the things that Nancy does is to make sure that we are in compliance with all of the PPT safeguards, procedural safeguards. So I just want to make it clear to the group that it is atypical to have a central office administrator attend a PPT. Generally, you'll have a building-based administrator, school psychologist, case manager, speech and language, different service providers, and also regular education teacher.
I'm just commenting because my son was outplaced for so many years, and I go to a first PPT at the high school, and there was no one from central office.
And you can always request.
And
As
that's,
a parent, you can request. So I'd encourage you, if you have questions or you want a certain member at the PPT, you put a request in, and staff will be happy to act
So
on
that leads me to the question, is Diana chairing all PPTs for K through 8, or are the building administrators doing it as well? Is it a combination?
behind you,
Diana and I
You're doing
share the PPTs pre-K to grade 2.
Share them, meaning you're both together in one PPT, or
No,
you
about
will have one?
95%. I'm doing some on certain days, Diana's doing some on other days.
One or the
So
other.
all the way up
Per
to
week.
8, Diana, is that
Yes.
with every building? So Damon is chairing some, and Karen
Yes.
is chairing some?
Yes, yes,
It's one or the other generally.
yes, and I tend to go into, more of the technical cases and make sure that I insert myself into those, obviously. And then we partner up, and then I also handle any of the placement students as well.
K through 8.
No, right on up, and then also any of we have magnet school students as
So
well.
you're K through 12 for outplacement.
Most of them, a few cases, yeah, some very familiar.
So one of the things that I think being new, and working to get a handle on things for individual cases, there are certainly, I'm learning, and what I'm trying to do is when parents present with concerns to me, I'm trying to be responsive, and my goal is to get to being in a place of proactivity, obviously across all domains, but when people have come to me with questions or concerns, I do try and as quickly as I can and as thoroughly as I can really work through and help them solve problems. So, I've had those conversations with some people in this room already this year. So I just wanted you to see the kinds of things.
We did one. I have a question. We're having some issues with some transportation problems, one of which would be better served at a board of.
Do you know that, I don't know, did you?
Yeah, I know all about that.
sent you and you
There's an
emailed
additional
some?
piece to it that I want to bring up today,
Oh,
yes. Is that my daughter, because we live down along Dirt Road, and this would be better served at a Board of Ed meeting, which is what I was going to say next. We live down a mile long Dirt Road, and we've never had access to the bus coming to our actual house. There's a mile long Dirt Road, which I'm not letting my children walk down, clearly. So we've been through this really exhausting, horrific battle to try to get Jamie Stevens' bus service to the home. That's finally gone through. We've been emailing with Bill Hoff for almost 2 months to get this going. He was supposed to get in touch with you. I don't know if he ever did. I'm dealing with like 10 people at once, and they're each saying, oh, did you talk to so-and-so? Oh, call so-and-so. Oh, did you talk to the principal? So I'm like running a rat race here. We finally get the bus to go through for Jamie, but she is 13 and on the spectrum and can't be trusted to be alone. So all we want to do is have my daughter, who's 15, who's very mature, get on the bus with her and go to our house to watch, to supervise Jamie, because there are no after-school programs in Suffield. And I got an email today that just said no. Bill Hoff says no. Who do I go to next to talk about this and to try to fix this?
I'd be happy to talk with you about this after the meeting.
Okay, sure.
Anybody else have anything they want to ask right now? Sorry. This is the kinds of things that have been happening for capacity building in the district. Have been happening so far this year and will continue to happen as the year goes on. And again, this is if it's small and you can't see it, it's on the website. So I think we talked about some of these issues as we talked tonight. These are the issues and concerns that I have identified within district. I would certainly say that another one is communication and building trust with parents. That is also a piece that's very important to me. But data, appropriate IEPs, needs for significant training. I listed some areas that I thought were important. The importance of that cultural message about independence, providing effective social emotional interventions. We are certainly seeing a rise in need across all grade levels to respond to students with social emotional needs and looking at how are we going to respond to them more effectively. This year we already have Dr. Rickler here once a month. She's here twice a month. She's here once a month with the middle school and once a month with the high school team to talk about students and do some consulting and give us ideas and strategies for students. We also have been able to access her to give us ideas and strategies for students at Spalding and McAllister as needed. So that's an area where we feel like our team needs to grow. It's a good support to our students, and it's something that we have going on already that we're working on. So,
Do parents have to sign a permission slip for her to
not
evaluate their children?
Dr. Rickler is a child psychiatrist who has worked with school districts for many years. So she has both a strong knowledge of clinical, medical is in some ways less important to us, but and of working with schools and students' needs in schools. So districts are able to consult with anyone that would help them to improve students' performance.
Are parents notified in advance before she's evaluating their child?
She's not evaluating their child. She doesn't meet with their child. She hears some information and she hears some questions from the team.
Okay.
So if there's a need for an evaluation, that is absolutely on the same consent.
Okay.
Okay. So the difference is it's about 20 to 30 minutes of problem solving, and there may be times when we sit there and she says to us, I think this one probably should be an evaluation. Our team member will ask that question, and then we have her coming in. She's done some already for us this year.
I just have a quick comment or a question about fostering independence. I'm just wondering in the classroom how you feel, where's that balance between, giving someone a para if they need it, or kind of backing off and letting them flounder a little bit to see how they're doing. I wonder what your take is on that.
I don't really like the word flounder.
Well, clearly you can see my perception, but
I wouldn't want to do that. The needs.
because there's a balance,
Yeah, the needs of special education students are diverse. I think that the way that we talk to students, whoever the adult is, a para, a teacher, whoever, can foster independence. So can I give you an example?
Mm-hmm.
If I say to you, I'm going to take Melissa because she likes to give me good suggestions. If she says to me, do this, then she's just telling me what to do.
I would never do that.
She doesn't know me at all.
You're in front of me, Melissa, and you're friendly.
We're
so,
cool.
If she says to me, now if you were to look at number 3 on your list, what might be an error? I don't think there's an error, but what might be an error that you find? Saying, Nancy, I think there's an error on the page. I'd like you to go back through and check it and find the error. We have to scaffold kids to greater independence.
No, I understand that. I was meaning more of when forming the IEP and making those choices as to will there be a para, or will someone help this child write their homework down with them, or will we let them do it for themselves? where's the window of is it working, or let's put in some more scaffolding in place or some more support in place so they don't.
And I think too, because we had heard that there had been, I think, 12 pairs that had been added last year, and it was changing. Maybe an update on that situation might be helpful for people to know.
And
what's
parents should
coming.
know that parents can now be at PPTs.
Yes.
That is a new law.
I would ask you to consider wisely whether you really need them, because remember, we're pulling them from students, so when you do that, so.
They know our children best, they're with them all day long. In every situation, they're with them, they know our
And this
children
district
best.
fought that tooth and nail.
Right, well, yeah. So, I'm just speaking my truth.
And
that,
we're telling
you
you
know,
the
I-
history.
Right, but the history
Giving
behind
context.
that is
That's all.
limited because it was used as, well, I'm sorry, because who's gonna take care of your kid? And, and we're like, but this, we
I
really.
did not know that.
So I'm just letting you know, so.
Oh, no, Lori,
right.
they're not qualified to sit
They're
in
not qualified to
PPTs.
sit in
They don't have the, they
I
don't
got
have
that
the
one too. They
educational
can't answer questions
experience.
About programming.
Can't talk to them.
Underachievement, I think we talked about that. Complex needs of students, students with significant needs, sorry. This year, one of the things that you may have heard about is, in terms of program planning, is that we have been, Diane and I have been meeting with Dr. Mark Palmieri from the Center for Special Needs about a plan to look at our program supports for students with intensive needs at Spalding. We started out with Mark coming in to look at us with preschool, because his advice and an expert in looking at how to improve programs is to start at the preschool level. In working with him, he felt that we could look at the whole building. So we now are working on a plan, and we have that as a line item on the budget for that. And then I said that to the board last time, so I don't think that's a surprise. Would be a surprise to them. I wouldn't think they have heard it there. For us to have them come in and consult with us next year to build our staff capacity. So the way things are going to get better for students is if we help build systems, but also like having the Ames Web tool that Brian talked about, but also if we build our teachers' knowledge and capacity to provide the supports for students. That's a piece that, again, I think some people are aware of. To take, I'd like to be able to say to you, we can do the whole district. It's not possible, both from a financial perspective and a logistical perspective, frankly, to make a sustainable change at that large of an environment in a year. I would be hoping that the following year, that we would again have support from the Board of Ed and the community to be looking at doing it at McAllister. And if we need to do it the following year at the middle school, that we'd be doing it at the middle school. I met with Mark today, because Diana was busy, unfortunately, and by myself. And one of the things I really am seeing from him is there's things that are going to not only help build teachers' capacities, but Diana's and mine, in terms of being program leaders, and not only being, to Brian, the architect of the planning, and then how do we make an implementation that's makes sustainable change. So.
Question on that, can you share before tomorrow night, what's the cost for the year? Do you have a ballpark of what we're getting for CCSM for the year, for the service, for the console? Because it would be continuing based on what you said, but is there a number?
You mean number for?
Like, what is it costing us physically?
What's the line
to take
item we're putting in the
services
budget?
CCSM? What does that budget line cost?
Yeah, good question.
Okay.
I would, let's, watch that budget unfold, and the superintendent's given, the budget on the 15th.
Can you just put a bug in her ear that please put that in, and then also just the fact of, I would just be very interested to hear what it costs and what exactly we're getting. Is it just a one-year consult, or are we getting follow-on? What exactly are we?
I can answer some of that for you.
Sure.
So the number's big.
I'm sure it is.
Let me say that. So, one of the things that I think
No,
You
it's
said
not,
that the Board of
I
Ed
think
meeting.
what you're asking for
Oh, all right, I already
is
said
legit. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no secrets. I mean, it's all like, you know.
Oh, I wasn't
public knowledge.
implying
But
it
it's-
was, the point I'm trying to make
I
is
think
it's
the
just detail.
The question is,
Right.
how much is it, let's have some details of what it is,
Right,
so you could be informed about the resources that are behind it.
right,
Yeah,
because what I'm
that's-
trying to get at is obviously cost comparison would be as if the number is, we use $500,000, I can obviously buy a lot of other,
Three.
we'll use $300,000. So
So,
I could also have other staff in place that stays instead of a consult that's just for a short term. But that's what I'm asking, if it's an ongoing.
it's, the design of it is to be capacity building staff, so that they leave us in a place after that year, so that we have better skills.
And I think that sounds wonderful, as a lot of things have sounded wonderful tonight, but the devil is in the details, so
It
that's my
absolutely is.
concern.
So one of the things as we move forward, and it looks like, we're in a place where we have, the budget moving forward, and it's gonna be able to stay in there, is Mark wants to come to one of these meetings, or during the day meeting, maybe we need it for him, and talk to you guys. So, okay.
Can we see the goals and objectives? Oh, I'm sorry.
What's the next slide, Dana, is it anything?
No, that would be, this
Okay,
was,
go to the other one.
this one.
Yeah, and then go to, no, go up to targets. So the first thing I want to talk about is where I see us for the end of this year with some targets. John was nice enough to talk with me a little bit, and, I said to him, I feel like I can't tell everybody I can do as much as they'd like me to do, and he said, well, don't make promises you can't keep. So, thank you, John, thank you, Doriana, who did that with me as well a little bit today to help me think. I'll pick on somebody else next time to help me think. So, I haven't talked about this at all, we're going to visit Ridgefield High, Gina Oliarchik, Erin Larkham, Gina Oliarchik, who's the assistant principal here, Erin Larkham, who's the, head special ed teacher here. We're going to visit Ridgefield High on Friday, where their special ed model, which I'm hoping would be, the goal is to have a target for the high school. I'm gonna take John's wisdom and talk about it for the high school level, and we'll hopefully be able to include the middle school. To change what our service delivery model is, right now it's very much like they call it, I don't know what they call it, like worded study or something, and a resource to make it about instruction for kids. So it's not about getting your homework done, it's about the same things that really happen at the elementary level, which is, time working directly on skills. And a piece of that would not only be language arts and math, but it would also be about social skills. Because obviously when you look at what our population is, that's where we need to be, and those are the kids that need support. Not just with how to read and write and do math, but how to problem solve their way through a complex world.
Lori, when is that class starting? You got a curriculum for it, when is that starting?
We started that.
Okay.
You're talking about the positive choices curriculum. That started probably about 3 weeks ago.
So, another target that we're going to aim for, yeah, John, I hope you don't mind if I talk about our conversation. I said to John, I'd like to put up there that we're gonna work towards people having 75% of goals mastered. I'm not sure that we'll reach that one, but I wanna set that as a high bar for us and be able to tell you at the end of the year where we are with that. Goals and goals. IT goals.
So you're talking, every special ed student, you're hoping to have 75% of their IT goals.
That's a little, rigorous.
No, I'm going for 100 with my kids, so I don't think this.
It should be scaffolded that way anyway.
Well,
throughout
where's the
year.
baseline? I
Same.
mean, what is it now?
I don't know.
It's usually 80% in my experience.
It should be 80%.
Supposed to be.
It should. I don't think we're there from looking through past IEPs, and I made a decision not to take the time to do a data analysis on it, because I wanted to get to the priority of working with staff on how to make sure that happens. No, I'm just saying, like, I didn't do it. I could spend the year doing that, but what I've heard from you guys is please don't spend the year doing that, so.
Yeah.
It's maybe a kind of question. that mean we're not setting logical IEPs? If we're not
If the
meeting,
goal is 80.
right, if we're not meeting obtainable goals, are we not setting the appropriate goals?
I would say that, that is a problem not just in Suffield, but in, my experience in other districts as well, is that special ed teachers, have, not always been given clear messages that goals are to be mastered in 1 year's time. I'm very clear on that. I'm very clear that goals should be written in a way that they're measurable and can be mastered in 1 year's time.
So instead of setting a 75% goal, should we be reevaluating on what the IEP goal is?
Nancy, do you mean 75% of the aggregate, or do you mean 75% for each goal?
Means for the aggregate, I'm assuming.
Okay. So it's not like every student's goal would be a
I'm not sure I'm gonna come
Right.
back, I'm not sure I'm gonna come back with a number that you're excited about at the end of the year. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know where we're gonna be with this. But if I don't set some kind of target and come back with a number to say this is where we got to, and you guys are saying to me, I want you to try, Nancy, to do things this year, then I don't feel like I'm meeting what my client base is saying.
Me personally, right now, I would truth in a pretty lot. You know,
But I guess it depends on what you're gonna do with that information. Are you gonna teach the, people writing goals, how to make attainable goals? So
Yes,
what is that, what's gonna come?
Yeah, so
from
that's
that
one of the goals that
information?
Diana I have as a primary goal with our PLC time with teachers this year is to work on, looking through the IEP pages and making sure everybody has a shared understanding. I heard, I'm not sure, I can't remember now if it was one of you guys or Brian talk about consistency. We have pockets of greatness in this district. We have things that people are doing phenomenally well at. We've got Lori O'Neill sitting in the midst of us. Like, seriously. But what we don't have is consistency. And that's what we all want, is to be able to say, all of the kids are being provided with a high quality, no matter what grade level they're in, no matter what case manager they have, people know what to do and they're all doing it. So, accountability is, so it's first we make sure that they know what to do, and then we monitor that they're doing it. And we hold them accountable for, what does it mean that we lead for mistakes? It just means that we say to them, why isn't this happening? Is it that you need further instruction? What can we do to help you so you see how to do this? And that's about both writing goals and about construction. Data is very powerful in helping us figure out what to do to help kids. It should drive everything we do.
Is that gonna also, include the general ed teaching as well? Are they gonna be receiving any specific direction for co-teaching or anything that's gonna help them improve their abilities as well?
I don't know if I can make that a target area for me this year, Joanna, to be honest with you. My team to move is large as it is, and if I make my focus, or our focus too dispersed, and it's not gonna, it's about sustainability, whether I'm in this chair, no, and I'm not planning, as long as this is working for everybody, I'm not planning to go anywhere, so that's not like I'm applying for jobs right now. I want it, the way we need to do, what you guys wanted in the craft report was things to get better and stay better.
Right.
And that's what I want to, so.
And just to piggyback off the question is, one of the things we're looking at is the student survey results, parent survey, teacher survey. One of the questions that and how many of you have gone online to look at the survey results, the public do, maybe you check it out? Yeah. All right, so one of the survey items from students that we're looking at, discuss this with some assistant principals today, is the students responding to the question, when I don't understand something, my teacher has another way or tries to find another way to help me out. That's something that we're looking at. So, in having conversations, what supports and professional development can we provide for our general education teachers so that they can help all students in their classroom, whether they're special ed or not, ways to differentiate so kids are having as positive experience in the classroom as possible. So that work is very much a focus.
I don't know what they're doing at Ridgefield, so I don't know that model, but I do know that in the past when we've done co-teaching, for example, when Crack came in and taught, they taught co-teaching to only the special education teachers, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. You know, if you need to include general educators in that instruction, to the point that when I was going to parent-teacher conferences, the general ed teacher, and even if it was a co-taught class, and the special ed teacher was there, we were talking about, they were asking me for advice on what to do, because they were dying for instruction at that point. And the classes, and I'm hoping that's changed, but it was, the majority of the kids were on IEPs. So it was like a reverse inclusion class, and it was extremely difficult for them to teach chemistry or whatever difficult subject they were teaching in that model. So I would hope, without knowing what they're doing in Ridgefield, that we will, you know, if we're gonna build a high school, the high school's been a very weak link for a long
I'll tell you
time.
what, we can, again, you can put that on the agenda for January, and I can tell you what we saw in Ridgefield.
It'll be great, I think, to know.
It's not-
That's
I'm
been a
assuming you're going to
point.
Ridgefield because Karen thinks it's a good model, because she built it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
Sounds good.
assuming.
Well, I gotta be honest with you, yes, and Karen is my boss, and Karen is my boss. But Melissa, if I also didn't think, if I didn't think in listening to her there was value in going, I wouldn't be going.
Yeah, no,
So-
the connection is there,
Yes,
obviously.
correct. And listening to the person who's gonna talk with us. So this is what I guess this is my goals, on what's important to me. I guess.
Personal level?
Yeah, at the highest level, this is where my, I guess, you know, the targets are my head for this year. This is my heart and my commitment to you, is what I want you to hear.
Nancy, here's where I really would like to see. Of the things that you listed as targets and goals, one of them is measurable, and the rest possibly the articulated plan for implementation that may be observable. But what I really would like to see is specific deliverables, like, 30 days from now, I will reveal, a first draft of my plan to increase consistency and fidelity in data taking across district. By 90 days, we'll have our first measures to see how that's going. And that doesn't mean that so by promise results, we can promise results. Promise action where you can't promise results. But right now, what I see here and what is very uncomfortable for me is that I see, nice words. Like consistency is a nice word. We all agree we want consistency, but what does that? What does that mean? What does that look like? How do I
So
know?
I can
How do I
actually
hold
get
you to
there.
account?
Yep.
In terms of making sure that that's delivered. How do I know that there's been any progress?